After 7 years apart, 19-year-old cat meets his owner. What happens next will melt your heart. The cat reunited with his owner after a long 7-year separation. The cat's reaction was so touching that all witnesses of the moment couldn't hold back their tears. In the peaceful town of Oakville, an ordinary day marked an extraordinary shift in Terry Thompson's life. He had spent years working as an accountant for a local firm and living comfortably in a cozy home on the town's edge. Terry had always had a deep love for animals, but his heart belonged to a cat named Arie. Their bond began 12 years ago on Terry's 25th birthday. That day, his sister Emily surprised him with a tiny, fluffy kitten as a gift, knowing how much her brother had longed for a pet. From the very first moment, Terry and Arie formed an extraordinary bond. The kitten, with his striking ginger fur and mesmerizing amber eyes, immediately stole Terry's heart. He named him Arie, a tribute to his cherished grandfather. Over the years, Arie became an inseparable part of Terry's life, bringing joy and companionship every step of the way. They would wake up together every morning and have breakfast together, and in the evenings, Arie would always wait for his owner at the door when he came home from work. The cat wasn't just a pet. He was a true friend and a member of the family. Terry took care of Arie with particular tenderness. He bought him the best food, regularly took him to the vet, and even taught him a few tricks. Arie knew how to give a paw, bring a small ball, and even talk, making special sounds in response to Terry's questions. But then the unthinkable happened. One warm spring day, Terry took Arie for a walk in the garden, as he usually did. The cat loved being outside, and Terry always kept a close eye on him. But this time, he got distracted for a second by a phone call. When Terry looked up again, Arie was nowhere to be seen. He searched the entire garden, calling the cat's name, but it was as if Arie had vanished into thin air. Terry started to panic, realizing he had no idea in which direction his pet had run off. The next few days turned into a real nightmare for Terry. He scoured the neighborhood, posted missing cat signs, and called every local animal shelter. But it was as if Arie had disappeared without a trace. Weeks turned into months. But Terry never gave up hope of finding his friend. He continued searching, placing ads online, and even hired a private investigator who specialized in finding lost pets. Sadly, all of it was in vain. Gradually, Terry's life began to change. He became withdrawn, talking less to his friends and coworkers. Every evening, as he returned home, he hoped to see Arie sitting on the porch, but it never happened. A year passed, then two. Terry still couldn't accept the loss, but he had to move on with his life. He threw himself into his work, trying to fill the emptiness in his heart. Yet Arnie's photo remained on his desk, reminding him of the happy days they spent together. The years passed. Terry tried to live a normal life, but a part of his heart always belonged to Arie. He never got another pet, feeling it would be a betrayal of his missing friend. 7 years after Arnie's disappearance, Terry's life changed once again. He got a promotion at work and moved to a larger city, about 100 miles away from Oakville. It was a difficult decision because moving meant he was finally letting go of the hope that Arie would return. In the new city, Terry tried to start fresh. He made new friends and spent more time on his hobbies. But deep down, he still missed his furry friend. One day, while flipping through a local newspaper, Terry came across an article about volunteers helping stray animals. It reminded him of Arie, and he decided to join the volunteer movement. Maybe by helping other animals, he could fill at least some of the void in his heart. Terry began regularly visiting the local animal shelter. He helped take care of the cats and dogs, walked them, and played with them. It brought him some comfort, but it also reminded him of Arie every time. One day, while Terry was working hard at the office, something unusual happened. Volunteers brought in an old, exhausted cat they had found on the street. The cat was in terrible condition, dirty, thin, with dull fur, and one of his ears was torn off, apparently in a fight with stray dogs. The shelter vet examined the cat and decided that he would have to be euthanized because the animal was already very old and sick. Before the said procedure, the vet assistant re-examined the old ginger cat and suddenly discovered that he had a microchip. It was rare for a stray animal, and everyone was surprised. When the chip's data was read, a true miracle occurred. The cat turned out to be the very same Arie who had gone missing 7 years ago. Terry couldn't believe his ears when he received a call from the shelter. He dropped everything and rushed there, hoping to see his old friend again. When he entered the room where Arie was being kept, his heart was pounding. Arie lay in the corner of the cage looking very tired and sick, but when he heard Terry's voice, his ears perked up and his eyes opened wide. Despite the years that had passed, the cat immediately recognized his owner. Terry carefully opened the cage and reached out to Arie. The cat slowly stood up and approached him. The moment Arie pressed against Terry's hand was so moving that everyone in the room couldn't hold back their tears. Terry gently picked Arie up, and the cat immediately pressed against his chest as if trying to make up for all the years of separation. Terry stroked his pet, whispering words of love and promising never to be apart again. The process of completing the paperwork to bring Arie home seemed to take forever for Terry. He couldn't wait for the moment when he could finally take his friend back. The vet warned that Arie would need special care due to his age and health condition, but Terry was ready for anything. Finally, the moment came when Terry could bring Arie home. He had prepared a special place for him with a soft bed and his favorite toys, which he had kept all these years. Arie seemed to feel at home immediately. The first days were not easy. Arie was weak and needed constant care. Terry took time off from work to stay by the cat's side around the clock. He fed him a special diet, gave him medicine, and simply stayed close, letting Arie know he was safe. Gradually, the pet began to recover. His fur became shiny again. He gained weight and even started playing, just like in the old days. Terry couldn't stop smiling at his friend, feeling thankful every day for this incredible gift. Arnie's return transformed Terry's life in profound ways. He became more outgoing, smiled more often, and even began dating a woman named Sarah, who shared his love for animals. Arie seemed to approve of Sarah, greeting her warmly every time she visited. With a renewed sense of purpose, Terry poured even more enthusiasm into his volunteer work at the animal shelter, feeling inspired by the second chance he and Arie had been given. Terry often shared Arnie's story with his friends, inspiring hope in those who had lost their own pets. Each evening, as he sat in his chair with Arie, curled up on his lap, Terry reflected on everything his loyal companion had endured over the past 7 years. He made a heartfelt promise to himself and to Arie that every remaining moment of the cat's life would be filled with unconditional love and devoted care. Despite his advancing age, Arie seemed to have discovered a renewed zest for life. He eagerly played with the new toys Terry frequently bought for him, and every evening, as soon as Terry returned home, Arie would climb onto his lap. Terry would gently stroke his beloved companion, comforted by the thought that no matter what challenges awaited, they would face them together like true friends. What an incredible story! If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment below. See you in the next video.